Cinnabon's dad acquired something very cool. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what it is. Hey, buddy, do you want to see what I got in the mail today? Check it out. Look. Ooh, it almost matches you. This is something that is more or less unobtainable. Yeah, you don't see these very often. I have never, ever seen one of these for sale until I did, and then I got it. Look, buddy. Look. This is an XM8 handguard. Isn't that cool? Yeah, some people call it the fish gun, and as you'll see later in the video, the shape of the gun resembles a fish. And guess who designed that overall shape? It was Audi, yes, or a firm that was related to Audi. The Germans had a less exciting version of this proposed for the US Army back in the early mid-2000s, and they said, we can't have a German gun, we need it to look cool. We need it to look like a Starship Troopers gun. So they called in Audi, and they're like, okay, we can do it. This is just the front end of it. Check it out, look at that. It has a flashlight. Yeah, we'll have to get some batteries in there. It's dirty on the inside. I'm trying to figure out if it's black and just painted this color. I don't know. This gun never went into production, so every part you see is a prototype. Yeah, check it out, mister. Isn't that cool? Yeah, XM8. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Look at that. Looks like a fish gun. This is something that you don't even clean. You can see it's a little dirty. It's like a movie prop. It's just so rare you don't clean them. You just put them in the curio cabinet. I'll go ahead and show you some cool features of it. I'm gonna head inside, buddy, okay? I'm gonna do a little show and tell, okay? Yeah. So this is what the complete version of the gun looks like, and this is very well could be the same exact handguard I have because they're prototypes. Mine looks a little darker than in the photo, but lighting can make all the difference. We'll also check out this book and see if you can find any more pictures of it. Here's a darker one. This one's black or gray. There's the flashlight on there. There we go, check it out. That is the same exact handguard. It might be the same one too, huh? This one has the 40mm grenade launcher on the end of it. The XM8, unfortunately ill-fated with the exception of very limited use in Malaysia. The complete rifle you saw in the photos in that book, more or less I would think of it as an improved derivative of the HK G36. So a fine weapon, but in the end, politics killed it. It never entered U.S. service, aside from testing, of course. So on the top, we have an HK G36 handguard, and on the bottom, of course, we have the XM8 handguard. So this is called a rail. This is an accessory that you add. On this other side here, you can see where they're added to the handguard. Now, the downside to a rail is it adds extra weight and also additional dimensions to the firearms component. The point of having a rail like this is to add accessories, flashlights, lasers, and on the bottom rail, forward grips, etc. The solution to being able to add accessories without having an adapter essentially on there is to have something that doesn't take up any additional space. So you have recessions in the existing handguard, which will still allow for the attachment of items, but not take up extra space. In fact, it takes up less space, and it also has less weight because you're essentially punching out pieces of plastic or metal. You can see there's metal on the edges, and you can see there's been accessories mounted. Of course, I had the flashlight on there before, and I took it off. So that's the benefit of that. This system is called PCAP, Picatinny Combat Attachment Point. So if you can see on the inside of this flashlight, has a cage code, part number, date code 2004. Sounds about right. You can see these nubs here fit in. You use these little levers here, and then you're able to push this down a little bit and you can wedge it in there. So they attached optics this way too. This is by Insight Technologies, I believe. MAX Tactical Illuminator. That's pretty neat. I would have to assume this light's also a prototype. There's not very many out there. I only know of two, and I think the one I showed you in the book, I actually believe I know the person that has that very light. So who knows how many are out there? Probably not too many. This takes two batteries, CR123 batteries, and I went ahead and put two of them in there, and it actually works. So here you can see there's the open, off, and on position. Right now it's on the on position. You just pull this back and slide it. Now it's off. And then I'll go ahead and open up and show you what the batteries look like. There we go. There's a nice seal in there. There we go. We got two Duracell batteries. We'll go ahead and put the batteries back in there and show you how it works. So we have the selector here on the on position. And then if you just put pressure on the button, it's on. Relief pressure, it turns off like this. That way you can do signals, or if you just want to temporarily illuminate an area, do that. I'm pretty sure this is LED. And if you double click it, if you will, it stays on. Turn it off, you hit it once. So double click, stays on. Hit it once, turns off. I don't know what happens if you double click it twice. Let's see. So double click, double click. Oh, I wonder if that's intensity changing. Maybe. Huh. I don't have a manual for this. There may not even be one. I think that's pretty neat. So on this handguard, there's also additional ones on the bottom. This would be for vertical grips, lasers, etc. They also made adapters, I believe. I've never seen one in person, but they made adapters so you can adapt this recessed sort of Picatinny style with the... This is actually fairly modern, actually. It's a step backwards from this type of technology. But this later was adapted and called like things like M-Lock. M-Lock kind of resembles these. This is really kind of going backwards, the Picatinny rail. For the most part, there are certain firearms where these are milled away from existing pieces, but this is certainly an example of adding aluminum pieces. Just makes things heavier, bulky, and snag on stuff. This is a way cooler design, and it was way ahead of its time. HK actually adapted this idea from scope mounts on some of their hunting style rifles. Went ahead and reinstalled the flashlight. You pretty much squeeze these two little levers in, and then you line up the little pegs with the Picatinny holes, the P-cap holes rather, and then you squeeze it on there, and it's on there pretty solid. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, we got it on. Look at that. Ooh, oops, sorry. Woo. Probably gonna burn out my camera. So the above rifle is something you've seen before. This is an H&K SL81 that's been converted to resemble an HK XM8. These P-caps are actually not functional. This is just for decoration. This is a real deal, so here's a good comparison. Has a knurled charging handle, which was a feature of some of the XM8s. The only real XM8 part on this rifle is this magazine. The rest of it's SL8 or G36 parts. The optic was also XM8 style. This is the ISMV. The stock is US made. The pistol grip as part of the stock assembly is also US made. In addition to this, it has the XM8 style bolt release and extended magazine release. These both happen to be German as well. So this is a mix of US, German parts. The top one's more or less, it's not a clone because it's actually an HK, but it's a look-alike. I would say it's a conversion. But at its heart, it's an HK SL8, which doesn't resemble this at all. There's the other side. As you can see, it does resemble a fish. See that? Kind of does look like a fish. We have the XM8 markings too. Of course, we had the serial number matched on the markings. You don't want to mess with that. That stays on there. If you take that off, you get in big trouble. You don't want that. No. This is registered on a Form 1. It's a short-barreled rifle, SBR, because the barrel is 12.5 inches. That's normally really, really naughty, but we got the paperwork. And this up here was to attach a sling. I don't know if this one was actually ever used in that way. The sling loop goes through here, the little snap ring. You wouldn't want to do that in this one. Again, this one's basically cosmetically resembles an XM8. It actually fires. I don't shoot it. It's kind of a museum piece, but it will actually fire. Best I can tell, this was actually molded in this color. Not that it really matters. It's a prototype, so anything goes with prototypes. It's a little dirty, but again, you don't clean something like this. We'll go ahead and put it in the curio cabinet. This is the XM8 curio cabinet. We have a draft copy of the instruction manual. We have a real XM8 magazine behind that, an XM8 sling, and an XM8 magazine release. And the longer style of XM8 handguard, this one has a recessed portion to accommodate a bipod. Neither of the bipods I have fit it. These are prototypes, so they probably worked with an earlier or later model. You can tell that the pin was ripped out of this one. Again, these are prototypes, so they're not 100%. They're mainly for testing and demonstration purposes. We have, of course, the handguard you saw earlier in this video. We have the Scar Trials XM8. This is one of the later models, of course, in the form of a pin. We have the bipod that has the carbon fiber type in the middle between the attachment point there and the legs that extend. And on the bottommost shelf, we have a promotional XM8 cleaning kit. This wouldn't be issued with soldiers. We have a couple more pins, an ISM instructional little leaflet thing that's laminated, another style of bipod. Maybe someday I'll find one that actually fits the gun. And we also have an XM8 bayonet made by Camillus. The empty area on the bottom is to accommodate the dimensions of the bayonet. And that wraps up the XM8 video, so thank you everybody for watching, and we wish you have a fantastic rest of your Friday. See you later. Bye-bye. I think he's tired. You ready to go night-night, buddy? Huh? Okay.